Hi there, my name is Ed. I just want to show you an example of a site survey. So a site survey is something that is created, or a site survey document even is a document that is created after we have completed the measuring of your space. So first of all, one of our installers would come in and measure up your space. What would happen is that they would create pictures like this around your space, where we've got measurements of wall spaces, we've got window spaces, we've got existing obstructions, doorways, etc. So we do a thorough job of coming up with all the sizes and information in your space. And we do that by first marking a floor plan. So it all starts from the floor plan, where we would take that floor plan, we'd draw on it all the spaces that you want to measure up and to consider. And often with site surveys, we will encourage clients to measure more than they are considering in phase one of the project. For example, if you've got an office of the size that this one is here, it makes sense for us to do quite a few measurements, just in case over the years we end up working together multiple times. And instead of paying multiple times to get somebody in to measure up, you can just do it in one large go. We will store all of that documentation and all of that size information right here in this site survey that would then allow us to be able to do multiple projects in theory in future. So this is the site survey. So this document, once completed, is something that either, if we're doing the design work, we would hold on to and add designs into, or if you are going to do the designs, then we would send you this document, and your design team, whoever you're going to use to do the design, can then use this to place designs into the design. And I've got another site survey loaded and ready to show you an example of somebody placing some artwork into the designs. So first of all, floor plans marked up. Each wall window is given its own unique reference. That reference is then what we would call the PIN number of that location. So obviously just it can be anything, but we just kind of do it like this, and then we can label them in the site survey as well. But we'll start off with wall one. So what we've got here is a 2-scale drawing of a wall that is just here in this particular area. For this one, pretty straightforward. There's not really any obstructions, so we've just got a plain wall. For second wall here, we've got a pillar and a wall, and in order to draw that out correctly and accurately, we've flattened all of the spaces. But be aware that if you were to draw a circle, for example, over here in your design program, let me just check, because we've got multiple layers here. I'm going to chuck that onto the... So just to let you know as well, all the site survey information is layered up into different layers. So you can see all the photos are here. We've got all the different elements very neatly and organizedly laid out. So if we were to do a design like this and you put a circle over here, this would actually be a bit of a problem in theory, because when you look at that wall straight on, this section here is actually going to be not visible from the front. And so actually what we're going to end up with is a design that looks like this, which will end up being, actually when you look at it face on, it will end up looking like that. So you can kind of see that doesn't quite look right, and you can tell it doesn't look right, and that's because part of the design will end up sitting on that stretch of design there. So just be aware, when we've got walls with pillars or other obstructions that have a 3D element to them, we'll try and lay them out flat for you to be able to see there. If we've got walls where we've got a specific color, we won't always color these walls in the color that you've got. So please just be aware. The other thing to mention is this design is not the full wall. If we've discussed with you that we only want to do something to the right of the television, we will only do that area. And so just be aware to check on the pictures what's actually been measured. We've then got some other examples here where we've got obstructions on the wall, and we do those in grey. We've got a little key up here that shows you, oh, it's not there. But grey is normally what we would use for obstructions on the space. And you can see these pin numbers here coming along. those will continue to be referenced throughout your project. And so it's really key from the quoting process. We'll then put together wall 1 quote for whatever you designed for this one, wall 2, wall 3, etc. So it should be a very clear thing. You've got a site survey, you've then got a quote that references each of those pin references, and then finally one of the stages towards the end of the project is that we will do a preview pack, which is where we will show all of these visuals to you for you to approve before we go to print. And then when the installers come in, they will have this site survey as well as that proof pack, which will allow them to be able to see, oh, this is the design that goes on wall 1. So it's all incredibly helpful when we do all of this information, but it is paramount that we get all of this information done up front, and so that this is all done correctly and is well organized. So just another example here of a wall where we've done multiple measurements to make up one space. Sometimes one picture is not enough in order to get enough detail, and so our installers will sometimes measure 3 different times, 4 times, depending on how complex the area is, and then that allows us to be able to go through and draw in each of these things. If you've got obstructions like this, we're not necessarily going to spend hours and hours finding exactly what font you've used for these things. They are just a reference to kind of give you an idea of the size, just so that you can kind of be aware of what is around these spaces. And then we've got things like lockers here, where you can see a huge number of different measurements, because there's some things are far more technical than others, and then we can give you nice technical drawings like that. So that's an example of a blank site survey. We're going to switch over now to a site survey that somebody has filled out. The floor plan isn't included in this, but I don't think this client had one to hand. So this client has then dropped in their artwork, which I hope they will have done on the artwork layer, which they have. Excellent. And therefore, we can go through here. We can then take all of these sizes and measure up and quote up this particular job. For things like windows, we will always measure the window panel and then also the gap between the window panels. That's incredibly important as well, so that we ensure that we get the design flowing. If we take the full measurement of the wall and don't consider the gaps, we might end up being, in this case, 2.5 centimeters short, which would then end up being a bit embarrassing when the frosted material or whatever window graphic doesn't actually fit. Yeah, some other examples here, just to kind of give you some examples. So yeah, these are the way that we do the site surveys. I hope that's been a helpful kind of overview of how somebody would then take a blank site survey and add their designs to it. These kind of characters up here are quite helpful in order to place them next to the designs. These characters up here all to scale. So this person is 1.9 meters high, relatively tall bloke, but probably about right. And so just be aware that these characters are here to kind of help you understand. You don't necessarily need to put them down next to everything. They're more from a designer's perspective for you to use them. The second thing is line of sight. So we recommend that generally you put key content in the area where line of sight is. For example, if you end up having a desk in here, and then on top of that desk, you've got a nice desk divider that comes up kind of halfway there. And then on top of that, you've got your computer sat on your desk. You're not going to see anything below this line if you are far away from that wall. And so whether it's a nice picture that you've decided to go for or just a logo of some description, it's important to notice that you're going to get some element of obstruction when you're in an office with people. And so if we bring that back and then we imagine somebody sat behind their desk, you can kind of see we're probably going to end up getting a lot of the wall covered by different obstructions. So it's just helpful to have those kind of things there to be able to show you where we would recommend doing things. And obviously that is from the, so just to clarify, when we take measurements of walls, which I'll bring you over here, Here we've actually measured from the skirting board upwards. We generally don't tend to put graphics onto skirting boards, and so we often do things from from above the skirting board. So the only thing when you're considering these kind of designs is just consider normally skirting boards are about 10 centimeters high. So we can kind of put that in at that sort of height, and then make sure that our character, just to kind of give an idea of scale, is going to be here. Now, this particular one is Windows, so it's not relevant for that, but it would be relevant for our walls over here. And so that is generally where we would get what we would use with our walls. And that just needs to be clarified so that you understand how that works. Hope that you find that helpful. If you've got any other questions, don't hesitate to get in touch, and look forward to working with you on your project. Thank you.